All right, everybody. Welcome to week 15 of the Other Side Sports Show here on Twitch TV. Back with John and Matthew again. Both of the two of those guys are feeling a little under the weather these last couple days. So
Yep.
We're still here for you guys, though.
glad
Still
they
here.
made it. Glad they made it. So we're gonna start off talking about the NFL. We're gonna rank some top 5 offenses, top 5 QBs. And then in the coming weeks, we're going to rank some top 5s of other positions and give our opinions on that. Then we'll follow that up with the hold up segment, and then we'll talk about the NBA draft, and I'll let these two talk about it because I don't really have an opinion either way. And then Matthew will close us out with his what's on his mind for the night. So, who wants to go first with top 5 offenses?
Should we go one by one, or should we list our top 5 each?
Let's see. Let's go one by one, and we'll start with number 5.
That's what mine was thinking.
Yeah, we'll start with 5. So who you got at number 5, Emmons?
The Vikings, Minnesota Vikings. You add Kirk Cousins. You got Delvin Cook if he's healthy. Stephon Diggs. the receiving core. Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph. I think they definitely deserve to be in the top 5.
It looks like you've got the same thing over there.
I have the same thing because that had a lot of weapons last year. And
and then you add Kirk Cousins.
And it might not result in wins because he put up a ton of numbers in Washington. It just never accumulated to wins because he'd have that pick 6 at the wrong time. And so, with that defense, you don't have to put up a ton of numbers. But can you really tell Kirk Cousins not to go for the ball late? So it's going to be interesting, but I think they will be top 5.
I think Josh is going to go somewhere different with this, and I'm excited.
You're 100% right. I'm definitely going somewhere different with this. I have the Green Bay Packers at number 5.
I also did a honorable mention for each, and I do have the Packers at 6.
I have the Packers at 5. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams really stepped up last year and pushed himself to be a number 1 threat. You still got Randall Cobb coming back. You lose Jordy Nelson, but let's be honest, Nelson was getting older anyway. Even though he was Rodgers' favorite target, he was getting older. They added Jimmy Graham and they added Mercedes Lewis to that team, and then they actually got good for like the first time in a long time. They got running back production last year, like out of Aaron Jones and Tymont. Like they actually got decent running back production.
I think they take a step back though.
See, I disagree. I think they took a step even farther forward because Rodgers will play the whole season.
I'm with Josh in this. Go ahead, Matthew. No, go ahead.
I think that division is going to be better defensively, and I think that's going to bring some of those numbers down offensively. I think that division defensively is just going to be a little stronger than it has been in the past couple of years.
Josh had my exact thinking. I just wasn't ready to put him in the top 5. That's kind of why I wrote him down. I just think Aaron Rodgers, he comes back healthy. You got Devontae Adams with another year after having a good season. Like Josh said, he really stepped ahead, proved he could be number 1.
But do you know he's going to come back healthy though?
Who's coming back healthy?
What if he does? What if he's not fully healthy and he has a reoccurring? He gets injured again.
Who are we talking about?
Rodgers.
Oh, Rodgers is ready, dude. He came back last year. The only reason they put him back on IR is because they lost that game and got knocked out of the playoffs.
I'm saying this wasn't his first injury, though. I mean, he has a tendency to get hurt. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's his fault. I understand the reasons why he gets hurt. I'm just saying it's not necessarily his first rodeo. Injury.
It's just tough to say for me. Like right now, like preseason, I'm assuming he's healthy. I don't really want to rank it like assuming he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm interested to see because like Bakhtiari was borderline the best left tackle in the league last year. So I'm interested to see if this running game can keep up and stay where it's been last season, especially after Rodgers went down with that 3-headed monster that they were running back there before other injuries plagued it. I think they can be a top 5 offense. So Matthew, lead us off. Who you got at number 4?
At number 4, I have the Falcons. They weren't as great offensively last year with Sarkisian at the helm, but they still have a lot of their weapons returning. And then you add, what's his name? I just lost. Yeah, the receiver from Alabama.
Calvin Ridley.
You add Calvin Ridley. I think second year with Sarkisian, you kind of, get back up there in that top 4 rankings. If I remember correctly, let me see these stats. Last year, Matt Ryan threw for, let's see here. I had the stats up here a few minutes ago.
Matt Ryan?
Yeah, he threw for 4,100. He threw for 4,100 yards, but only 20 touchdowns. That was their biggest downfall because Julio Jones kind of just disappeared in the red zone last year. So I think with Calvin Ridley and Julio down there, you may get more touchdown productions out of them. So,
yeah, I'm gonna go a different path here. I think I have the Los Angeles Rams. I think Jared Goff another year under his belt. You got Todd Gurley. You added Brandon Cooks. You already had Robert Woods, who had a great year last year. Cooper Kupp, if he can keep producing. I can't think of who their tight ends are, but they have a solid offensive line too. So Todd Gurley can produce like he did last year, or even get even better. I mean, that offense is pretty dangerous in my opinion. I think it might be an offense that people don't talk about too much, which is why I kind of threw them in there. I think they're definitely worthy of being in the top 5.
So before I say my number 4, the issue I have with the Falcons is that, just like you said, Julio was nowhere to be found in the red zone. That kind of disappearance, and we'll get into this a couple of shows from now. Actually, next show. Julio's not even in my top 3 as far as wide receivers go anymore. So,
yeah, but see, I think that Calvin is going to negate some of those issues because now the defense has to account for 2 of those guys rather than just kind of focusing on him. I think he's going to come back with a little bit more oomph this year because now he feels he has to prove himself.
Maybe, but he's also holding out contract negotiations, so that could do something and kind of soil his attitude towards the team and soil his year. But that's my concern with the Falcons. My number 4 team, I also have the Rams, just like Emmons, for basically every single reason that he said. Goff is probably going to progress even more under McVay. Gurley had an excellent season. He'll have to reproduce it again because I don't think he's really ever put back-to-back good seasons together in his career. And then, like you said, that O-line is really good. Sucks that they lost Sammy Watkins, but Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were great last year. Cooper Kupp was an excellent third down receiver, especially. And that's the name of the game. Pick up first downs, get down the field, kick field goals, score touchdowns. Number 3, I have... this one I feel like you guys might have ranked higher, but I feel like it's probably on your list. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3. I don't feel like this one really needs a ton of explanation.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the Steelers' weapons.
Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, they added James Washington out of Oklahoma State. And then Jesse James and that offensive line is really good. And, they have Le'Veon Bell, too, who's the best running back in the league. But, yeah, so I have Steelers. The reason I don't have them higher on my list is because it's going to be – I'm really interested to see how Juju Smith-Schuster is going to work on the outside. He excelled last year in the slot.
You lost. Yeah.
Because you trade Martavis Bryant to the Raiders. So it's going to be interesting to see how – Juju works on the outside opposed to the slot because you can't put James Washington on the outside. He's 5'11". He's definitely more of a slot type guy. So that's where their offense is going to concern me.
Yeah, I had the Falcons here. I do agree with Josh's concerns though with Julio and the red zone thing.
Oh yeah.
But I think adding Calvin Ridley, like Matthew said, can negate that. You still also have Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. Matt Ryan, he had a good season last year. So, I mean, just looking at the paper and the stats and the names, I think I think you got to put them up there, in my opinion. I really went back and forth with having the Rams or the Falcons there at 3, but I went with the Falcons just because they're more proven, in my opinion, I guess I can say.
Yeah.
They've been together a little longer. So that's why that's my number 3 right there.
But I think this might be the last year too we see.
Right. I mean,
don't think
they still have Sanu there kind of as a guy. So I mean, they still got some weapons.
I think after this year you start seeing guys like Sanu, Kevin, Julio, as Josh has really kind of made sure we know what his thoughts on Julio are. I have the Steelers here too. Yeah, I don't see them skipping a beat. They're wide receiver if you know, I know they're not a university, but
I have a bad feeling we're all going to agree on who our number one offense is, but we'll wait until we get there.
Maybe we might.
Maybe.
So I guess I'll go with my number 2, which you guys already talked about them, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben. I mean, I'm just going to repeat everything you guys said, so I'm going to let you guys go ahead and let me know who your number 2 is.
Well, I have, I guess, maybe the first real upset of this. I have the Rams up here.
I like it.
I think that they're going
to. I'm really happy that we all have the Rams in the top 5 because I thought I might be the only one here.
I mean, I think they're just going to blow up. I think they're just going to. It's just gonna click, and Gurley is gonna go back to being Gurley because now he doesn't have to worry about the 8-man box. Cooks is gonna get deep. That team's gonna be fun to watch, not just defensively but offensively. I think it's gonna be fun.
My number 2, I have the Vikings at number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, well,
I can't really disagree with it because I love the Vikings offense.
They were an NFC Championship game, in an NFC Championship team last year without their number 1 quarterback. Case Keenum stepped up and played really well, but they added Kirk Cousins, and I think Kirk Cousins is better than Case Keenum. They're going to get Dalvin Cook back. They lost Jerick McKinnon, but Dalvin Cook's a 3-down running back. So he can kind of fill that void.
Did they retain Latavius Murray or no?
I believe he's still on the roster. He said he wanted to be cut, but
gotcha.
I think with McKinnon moving on, he backed off of that a little bit because he realized it wouldn't be like a three-way split.
Right. You know, I just think that these, just in general, I think the top 6, top 5 are very interchangeable. I mean, it's really hard to kind of move them around.
Yeah, to an extent. I'm pretty set on my number 1, but
I think number 1 outside of number 1, then yeah.
But
I think we are going the same route here.
But yeah, so and I love Adam Thielen. Like I know that Stephon Diggs is really good, but Adam Thielen is like really good. He's constantly open. Like I don't know how he does it, but he's that guy that like you watch the tape on him and it's just he's always 15 yards downfield, just standing there looking at his quarterback with nobody within 10 yards around him, and I don't know how he does it. But he seems like he does it on every single play that he needs to do it on. Like clutch third downs, big like momentum swinging type plays, just stuff like that. He really impresses me. Oh, and then Kyle Rudolph, just probably one of the top 5 tight ends in the league. So, Matthew, number 1, who you got?
New Orleans Saints. I mean, they just got so many weapons. Alvin Kamara fit in perfectly. Can't believe they got him. They got him in the draft. And Breeze. We'll talk about him in a few minutes, but I think they're consistently the past 5-6 years just towards the top.
Yeah, you add a running game like they had last year to this. I mean, we're gonna talk about Drew Brees in a second here, but he only threw 23 touchdowns, and he's still. I mean, it's Drew Brees. The way that what Alvin Kamara did for that offense, and how great of a year Mark Ingram had. And then you have your receivers, obviously, and you got Michael Thomas. I'm kind of hoping Josh disagrees with us here and doesn't have the Saints in his top 5 at all, but I don't really know if he's going to.
You guys ready for this?
Oh, God, he doesn't have the Saints in the top 5.
My number 1 offense is the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know how you don't pick the Saints. They literally have everything that you could want in a team. They have a strong offensive line that played really well last year compared to what everybody thought they would play.
Oh, I forgot they added Cameron Meredith.
Yeah, and they added Cameron Meredith. So now you have Michael Thomas, who is a bona fide top
stud.
Yeah, bona fide stud, beast receiver. You add Cameron Meredith, who coming off an injury season, but the year before that he had a great season. So he can play. You've got Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, and then it's all headlined by Drew Brees, like at that quarterback position. So it does hurt them a little bit that they lost Kobe Fleener at tight end, and I don't think they really picked up anybody to replace him. But Drew has become less and less dependent on his tight ends over the last couple years as he's added guys like Michael Thomas. So it's kind of weird. I'm actually really shocked that we all ended up with the same number 1. I'm not gonna lie.
When I was really looking at it, like there wasn't really any like a lot of discrepancy for me other than the Packers. They're kind of just hanging around in there. I mean, the Edelman injury really hurt the Patriots. I don't even know if they were up there for me anyways.
Well, not this year.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I was actually really close. The only thing that kept me from putting the Rams there was just the history of the Saints. I mean, you know for sure the Saints are going to do this because...
Do you know what I just realized?
Oh.
When we were all talking about the Rams, maybe you did, Matthew. Maybe I missed it because I did hear you throw a receiver in there. Because I know John didn't and I know I didn't. Did we mention Brandon Cooks at all?
I did. No, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
He was the first thing I mentioned besides Todd Gurley.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Maybe I guess I missed it. My bad.
The-
But yeah,
I was looking at
Brandon Cooks. That's crazy.
I was looking at an article today, and it kind of made me chuckle. I mean, because I am hard on this team. This is my own team, but some guy had the Lions at number 10 in offenses in the NFL, and I'm just like,
I'd have to dive into it, but I don't know that I wouldn't disagree.
I can't. I mean, I don't really. I got to see the running game though. Like, I can't just. I mean, because Stafford had a great year last year, yardage wise, but it's like it's
Yeah, those wide receivers are good though.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's move on to our top 5 quarterbacks.
I really hope we have some disagreements here, but I don't know if we're really going to.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to. So.
I will start.
start-
I did throw
at-
my boy Stafford in there as the honorable mention.
Start us at number 1 because I feel
Number
like
one, we're going number 1.
Yeah, I feel like our 1, 2, 3 is going to be the kind of consensus.
Okay.
We might disagree at 1, but I feel like the 1, 2, 3 among us all is going to be the same. So start us at 1, and we'll go down to 5.
Aaron, I wish I knew his middle name Rodgers so I could put it in there. Right there is my number 1 quarterback in the NFL. I'm assuming he's healthy, like I mentioned earlier. He's just, I mean, Brady is Brady, but when you're looking at pure talent-wise, as the quarterback position, it's Aaron Rodgers, clear number 1 in my opinion.
See, I don't see the separation. I say it's 1A, 1B. I just don't see a separation in just pure skill. I think it's 2 different types of quarterbacks at the height of it. I don't see how you separate the two.
I separate the two.
And I'm not saying that as a Brady fan, because if I was a Brady fan, I'd just be like, oh, Brady. But I think when you look at what they do for their team and what they do even mechanics-wise, I mean, Brady's mechanics are solid. I mean, they are masterful. That's why he's able to do what he's able to do. I think when you
look at the two, I mean, they both have great mechanics. I mean, they're both accurate. I think the thing that separates them is the arm strength.
Yeah.
I don't even have the arm strength. I don't even have the arm strength in the conversation for me. I'm not worried about Brady's arm strength. He can still.
Well, right. No,
sling
Brady
it when
can
he
still
needs to,
sling it.
but
Yeah.
The thing for me is that Rodgers can roll out of the pocket and Brady cannot. Rodgers will roll out of the pocket and Brady will not. Whereas, like, the accuracy is there for both guys, the arm strength is there for both guys, the ability to drive down the field and with a 2-minute drill is there for both guys. The awareness of what the defense is trying to do to you, where the blitz is coming from, like, it's all there for both guys. But Rodgers does have that step above on Brady as far as like throw on the run and rolling out and making plays with his feet and extending plays. And letting his receivers find time to get open that Brady doesn't really have.
But see, to me though, that there are times where that really that hurts him. I mean, yeah, there's highlight plays, and there are times that hurts him the same way that rolling out hurts Andrew Luck. I mean,
I will agree. I will agree that the rollout will hurt quarterbacks that like Marcus Mariota, or Russell Wilson. Or Cam Newton, but not Rodgers, because Rodgers knows when he needs to stay in the pocket versus, okay, I need to roll out here. Not like, I might need to roll out.
I think Rodgers' awareness with it is just high and above everybody else.
I'm not saying he's throwing picks. I'm saying he puts himself in bad situations.
Well, no, I think we're all in agreement with that.
No, I'm saying, okay, for example, when did he get hurt with his collarbone?
Well, so you can't really use one situation. It's not like he's. You use Andrew Luck as an example when Andrew Luck is constantly getting hurt.
No, let me finish. So what I'm saying is that, okay, Aaron, when he rolls out, it's not just that one situation. He takes hits that Brady doesn't take. And he's had more injuries than Brady has had. because he takes hits that Brady doesn't have to take because he just goes down in the pocket. And you can say what you want about athleticism, but is your athleticism really helping you if you're missing games?
Okay, look, the collarbone.
Using the one injury in the.
It's not the one injury.
Okay, look. The collarbone injury. The collarbone injury was literally because he got the helmet driven through his into his chest.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not just the collarbone. It's happened in previous seasons, though. But you're in a situation. I'm not saying.
So hold on. So which one
I'm not
is?
saying he's making a bad decision. I'm saying that athleticism can hurt him. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying
it can also help him.
It can.
More than it hurts him.
Third and 8. Okay, it's 3rd and 8, and you're like you got like a minute left on the clock. 3rd and 8. You got one timeout. Okay. Brady's got the ball in the pocket. He's taking a sack. Okay. Rodgers has the ball. You want him taking that sack, or you want him to roll out and try to extend that play and get that first down?
He's gonna roll out, but you also
no. What do you want him to do? As if you're the coach, what do you want him to do? You want him to take the sack, or you want him to roll out and extend the play?
I don't want him to roll out. I didn't say it's a bad decision. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not a bad decision. I'm saying.
Yeah, but see, you're using injury scenarios when we're talking about talent.
But it's happening. But I'm saying that talent can sometimes hurt you.
So who do you have? So who's 1A, who's 1B? Who's 1A, who's 1B?
Oh, I gotta put Brady at A because I'm a homer. But listen, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's making a bad decision or that you don't want it. I'm saying that it can sometimes hurt you in the wrong like a bad luck kind of thing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't want it. I'm saying there are times where you can hurt you. Like he came back the season that he threw that pass against the Bears that put him in the playoffs. He had just came back from some injury. I mean, I love that about him. I mean, he's got that Brett Favre-ness, like he's just always there and he's just going to sling it. I love that. But it's just, it's one of those things where I sometimes love that Brady will just go down rather than taking the chance of getting hurt. And I'm not saying that I'd take one over the other because I honestly wouldn't. I honestly, you could give me either one, I'd be happy. To be completely honest.
You give me any of these 5 quarterbacks, I'm pretty happy. So
we can agree to disagree. So it sounds like Matthew has Brady as 1A, Rodgers as 1B, and then Emmons and I have Rodgers as 1, Brady as 2. Are we all in agreement that Drew Brees is number 3?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4 is where it kind of got a little dicey for me. I had a different name here at the beginning, and then as I thought about it more, I moved him up.
I flip-flopped my 4 and 5.
Yeah, I did too. So I have number 4 as Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz. Is that who you have also, Matthew?
Yeah.
And then
me too.
Okay. So we'll just move on to number 5 then. So I have Russell Wilson at number 5.
So do I.
So close. I had him, but I changed it. So go ahead, you two.
So I have Russell Wilson just because he's just like he's good. Like he's honestly he was probably the first quarterback last year that had a really good game against that Jags defense. He was the first one that really kind of torched it and exposed it, and that was number 1 impressive to me. But he can roll out, makes plays with his legs. He's smart. He knows when to get out, when to get down, throw it away. He's just athletic in that sense. He's a 2-sport athlete. Plays for the doing some Yankees.
Had to make your baseball shout out.
So yeah, I just have Russell Wilson there. I think he's top 5.
Yeah, I think. I mean, when you run around that much behind that offensive line and you still manage to throw 34 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions when you're constantly under pressure.
4,000 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't necessarily hit 4,000 yards, but he was right there.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
And a constant rotation at running back because every time you would find a good running back, they'd get injured.
Yeah. It was tough for me. I mean, Carson Wentz just had such a great season and showed what he's capable of. And that's why I ended up putting him over a more seasoned, I guess you can say, Russell Wilson. But, I have Russell at 5 and Carson at 4.
Yeah, I think Wentz he has an easier opportunity to show his skills because of that offensive line.
Yeah. Plus he had that freaking 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 13 games.
And, I was about to say 13 games. Yeah.
Right. So.
He would have easily been MVP if he didn't get injured.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I actually at number 5 am going with who I think will take over this spot this year, and that's Goff. I think that he's going to progress to that point just like Wentz did last year, and I think he's going to take off. And it was hard not to have Russell there because I saw that 4,000 yards and then the 586 yards rushing and the 37-yard touchdowns total. If you think about those 3 touchdowns, he accounted for 37 touchdowns. So,
yeah.
But I just think Goff is going to take off this year. So I have him up there. His numbers last year weren't, that impressive, but they were definitely a step up from his rookie season. So, 3,800 yards, 28 touchdown passes. So,
yeah, no, for sure. I can't really disagree with that. I went back and forth. I put Goff and Stafford as my honorable mentions. So I was right there with you with Goff. I have Goff ahead of Stafford this year, and I have Stafford there at 7. But we don't need to go through a top 10. But they both kind of speak to themselves, in my opinion. The Stafford thing, it really helps with the run game if we can get it going. But I have Goff right there.
If I was gonna throw an honorable mention somebody's way, I had Matt Ryan up there.
Yeah, Matt Ryan he's right there too. I think when you look at those were the 3 I was really debating. I left Matt Ryan out. I didn't really have a reason per se. I'm obviously a little biased towards Matthew Stafford, but
no, I had Ryan and Stafford right there. It's not a bias.
Honestly, I was surprised.
Georgia. He's
I was surprised with Stafford's stats last year, to be honest with you, and his completion percentage. But yeah, I think the top 5 is. Besides the Goff thing, we had the same thing. But I think Goff was pretty interchangeable in my opinion to go on the top 5. So nothing really too crazy, I don't think.
Yeah, Stafford was right there with Brady in passing yards.
I really wanted to put Stafford in there, but I just couldn't put him in there over a few guys.
I think what hurts him. He only had 10 interceptions, but right. I feel like it happens at the worst time.
Yeah,
I
think he makes the big drives, but he also makes a weird throw late in the game. So yeah.
He's like Cousins. He's a better version of Cousins.
So before you guys expand too far on this, let's talk about our next topic. What quarterback that's not in our top 5 do you guys think can have such a great season this year they can push that top 5 next year? Let's start. I'll start with you in the middle, Emmons. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jared Goff was my guy. Not that he's like a surprise, but since he was outside of my top 5, and I think he's young, and so that's why I have him over Stafford because I feel like he can really take. Because we already seen Stafford, right? We know what he's capable of. Goff is so young to the fact that I think he can just explode this year. Now he's got a run game. You add Brandon Cooks, I think he's definitely my guy for I guess the gig as my explosive quarterback.
Who you got, Matthew?
I got Mr. Trubisky. I think that.
I think Josh is in agreement with you maybe there.
I don't think he's there now, and I think by the end of the year he's going to be able to have progressed so much more than he did. He's going to be at this the point that Wentz and Goff are at right now. I think he'll be at the end of the season ready to go into that next season, especially with the weapons they added. With Robinson coming in there, and then you still got Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen back there. So I think that this will be his balloon year, and then he'll be ready.
Before I give mine, I want to say. I want to say Phillip Rivers gets overlooked a lot. Okay.
Yes, he does.
He is a good quarterback, and I expect him to have another good season. But the guy that I have that I think we could be talking about potentially as a top 5 guy next year, Jimmy Garoppolo, over in San Francisco.
I think he did it on purpose.
He's got hype.
If Chris is listening right now, he's probably aroused.
He's got hype. And my thing is, if he lives up to that hype, he's top 5. He can be top 5 on that team. So
it's a good pick.
But if he falls, if he fails, then it's going to be a big issue over in San Francisco with that contract.
If he fails,
it almost might be a good thing for NFL teams if he does fail, because you maybe not pull the trigger on somebody so fast with the contract.
Yes and no. Not necessarily.
It's kind of a reach with that, but you think of it.
They've pulled the trigger on a lot of deals.
Yeah,
but if you look at that San Francisco, I'm pretty sure didn't they structure it similar to the Kaepernick deal so that they were able to actually get out fairly easily?
I
mean,
don't
they were
know the
able to get
details
out-
of the contract. Yeah,
They were
I'd have to
able to
look it
get
up.
out. They San Francisco writes their deals with the quarterback in such a way that like they're able to get out of it pretty easily after like 2 years or something like that. That's why Kaepernick, they were able to let go, and they didn't really have a cap hit. So I mean, I don't think it's going to deter them. I think it's going to make them be smarter with how they structure the contract.
Yeah. Garoppolo's one that I kind of thought about for a second, but I gotta see more to like determine that, I guess. I mean, I know what that his potential is, but like I guess I just wanted to see more from him than an 8-game sample size, even though I know he could obviously explode this year and have a great year.
Matthew, who's an offense that you had outside of your top 5 you think could take off and elevate to a top 5 offense next
Oh
year?
God.
Oh, you're gonna love it, Jacksonville.
Ooh.
I think I think the pieces are there.
Gosh.
I think the pieces are there for that offense to be really good. I think they've done a lot of work on that offensive line. Bortles will have the time. DJ Chark is Cook's light, right? I mean, he could possibly be the next Brandon Cooks and stretch that field, something Jacksonville didn't have last year. And if you start stretching the field with a speedster and you got Leonard there ready to pound, so I think that there's a chance that they jump into that top 5.
You got it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got the Los Angeles Chargers.
It's weird to hear.
I know it's weird to hear, but I was looking at it and
I'm saying Los Angeles Chargers is still so.
Did I say San Diego or did I say Los Angeles?
No, you said Los Angeles. It's
Okay.
weird.
All right. As Josh just mentioned, Phillip Rivers isn't talked about that much, and he's always a really good quarterback. Melvin Gordon is also a guy. I mean, he's a talented running back. The thing that, which is my thing is, as of right now, I'm assuming people are healthy.
Hunter Henry is out for the year, though.
Is he? Okay.
He's 100% out for the year.
Well, great. We're gonna go with it though because I'm already there.
Well, they're even still like their receiver core is amazing.
Right. I mean, you got Travis Benjamin, Keenan Allen if he's healthy, Tyrell Williams, and Mike Williams. They got a lot of receivers. That's really what sold me. Like, I mean, Hunter Henry's Hunter Henry, but when I was looking at this, he didn't really even come to my mind, to be honest with you. So the receiving core healthy is what really sold me on this offense, and not to mention you have Melvin Gordon there who can run the ball.
They also added Pouncey in the offseason, so that'll give them veteran leadership on that offensive line. And that offensive line reminds me of kind of what the Saints did this year with their offensive line. They had those couple young pieces, and they learned from those veterans that they had there in like Max Unger and Terran Armstead. So good pieces there.
I mean, the thing about the Chargers that scares me about saying that, because if you look at them on paper, they should be a top 5 offense, like right now.
For sure.
Right now.
Well, that's why I put them as my possible to explode in the top 5.
But what scares me about them is their coach. There's just something about him, the way that offense was ran last year, that seemed like it was this kind of not letting it be what it should be. I don't know. I didn't like what I saw.
You got a feeling?
Yeah, I just had a feeling when I watched them. It's like this isn't what it should be.
I will say, and I said this last year at the end of the year, probably around like week 14 or 15. The Chargers started last year 0-4.
Yeah.
They even lost to the Giants, who didn't have OBJ or Sterling Shepard. They like a depleted Giants team they lost to, but that team picked up steam in the second half of the season. They were the team that nobody wanted to play if they made it to the playoffs.
Yep.
If they would have took that 6th seed in the playoffs and played Jacksonville in Jacksonville would have lost that game. No doubt. Like, no doubt in my mind. When San Diego or when Los Angeles, when the Chargers didn't make it, I was actually relieved that we were getting Tyrod Taylor and the Bills, because I did not
for sure.
I did not want to play the Chargers
the Bills
again.
though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I did not want the Chargers again, because they pushed us hard last time and we did not look good against them. We wouldn't have got away with another one.
And I think that's kind of a reoccurring thing. It always seems like the Chargers are making this late push for whatever reason. It's like they always start really slow and then they catch fire, but that's just there's something there. I don't know.
I think this year with the division, I mean, depending on what the Broncos are, though, I think they could have a better start to the year.
I mean, maybe, but that Broncos defense is going to be really tough with Chubb back there now with them. Although they did lose, what's his face, Talib.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
Talib.
You got to put a lot of faith in what's his name,
Chris
other
Harris
corner.
Jr.
No, and
Bradley,
then
Bradley
Roby.
Roby.
Yeah.
yeah, Bradley Roby.
So we'll get into division predictions and all that in a couple weeks.
Spicy.
Next week we're doing top 5 running backs and top 5 wide receivers. I'm sure the wide receiver one will get heated. The running back one's probably pretty standard. So let's.
I know
move
somebody
on.
who's not in mine.
Ooh. Oh God! Now I don't know. Probably
Sony Michel.
I was gonna say Sony Michel. All right, so let's move into hold up, and then
I think this is all of our favorite topic.
let's move into hold up. So here's you guys' first statement. Brandon Geyer, he's the outfielder for the Indians. Saturday night, he went into pitch in the 9th inning, threw a perfect inning on 8 pitches. So third time in 2018 that a position player has been put into pitch in the major leagues. Here's your statement. This should happen more often for either strategic or entertainment purposes.
Hold up. Even though it's happened this year, like I just feel like it's, a little risky putting a positional guy up there on the mound. I guess, in my opinion, just the sound of it. I don't really want to call it a fluke because at times it happened, but I just remember, like, just from hometown knowledge, putting a guy like Don Kelly in and just getting rocked. So it's like thinking about putting a positional guy in there for strategic purposes is just not a good idea in my opinion, but I'm not really knowledgeable on the situations this year, so I can't really say for sure. But just my initial response is hold up.
First of all, just because I didn't say hold up, but I got to say something to that. He said, or entertaining purposes. I would love nothing more than for them to put in Mookie Betts and just watch him get lit up. It'd be kind of entertaining.
Well, see, here's
watch him get lit up.
Here's the thing with position players.
I'm interested to see your opinion on this as our
but to be
baseball
honest
guy.
with you, but before you go, strategic wise, if you think about when you talk about like football, you sometimes have these guys who have played quarterback at some point in their life who are playing receiver now. You have these trick little plays where they throw it one time. Like Edelman against the Ravens in the playoffs, it worked beautifully. So I think you got a lot of these guys. I'm not a lot maybe, but you have some of these positional players who at some point pitched who can go out there and maybe throw a few pitches and
that was my thing. I was kind of just like thinking of the general pool. Like, if you have a guy who pitched like throughout college or wherever he was at a high level, then you can throw him in there. Like you use a perfect example with the quarterback thing. But just, it just sounds weird to me. But Josh is our baseball guy, so I put all my faith in him.
Let's see what the traditionalist says.
Right.
Typically, you only see position players pitch when the game is way out of reach.
Right.
That's the only time you see them, and they do it to save bullpen arms because they anticipate needing them in the next couple days in close games. I'm okay with it. I don't mind it. It's entertaining to watch. Strategic.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Strategically, it's a terrible idea. I went back and looked over the last couple years. I think position players have pitched like 20 innings in a season over the last couple years, and they've given up like 19 or 20 runs in 20 innings. So it's statistically it's pretty bad. But
see, I'm sure if you dilute those numbers a little bit though, and only do it very sparingly, like less than like let's say 5 innings, you total. I'm sure it might be more successful.
For the 2018 season alone, there have been 3 innings pitched, 3 runs given up, all by one person. So Geyer was perfect his last outing. Johnny Field for the Rays, he threw an inning where he didn't give up a run. I don't remember who the third person was. It was somebody I had never really heard of before, and he was the one that gave up 3 runs in an inning. But it's hit or miss. It's really hit or miss.
Right. Right.
I feel like it's most successful when you have, you're trailing a lot and you're trying to save those bullpen arms. So maybe the other team's putting some pinch hitters in. But also if they've seen like your ace or, one of your hard throwers earlier in the game that are throwing 97, 98, and then you just drop in this right fielder who throws 75, it's really hard to adjust to a 20-mile-per-hour difference. So we'll move on to statement 2. the United States did not qualify for the World Cup this year. It's so sad. We auto-qualify in 2026.
The Volkswagen commercial kills me every time I see it.
I haven't seen it. Even if they made it to the World Cup, the chances that we would win the World Cup were slim to none.
Yeah.
So here's your statement. The United States will win a World Cup in our lifetime.
Oh my God, you're killing me here because I'm gonna say hold up. And it kills me because I am so excited for the future of the youth that we have here, but it's not proven, right? Like we have never been able to prove that we are capable of putting together a World Cup team, a World Cup roster. Yes, our young talent right now is deeper than it ever has been, but you look at other powerhouses and historically they just don't slow down ever. So, I mean, I can't see the U.S. I can see them making a run to the semifinals in like 2022, 2026, but I don't see them playing in a World Cup final, nor do I see them winning one.
You're muted, Matthew.
You're muted, Matthew. He seemed pretty heated, though.
We've got 15 shots at this, okay, in my life. We've got 15 opportunities to do this, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. It might be when I'm 92 years old. Okay, and the 15th
interesting thing,
but it's going to happen.
The interesting thing to look at, though,
we win.
I could spend hours on this, but I'm going to just end this with mine right here. The interesting thing, though, that could change it is soccer is becoming more popular among our youth, and our youth program is changing for the better. It's been horrible. Anybody who's interested in it, if you listen to Taylor Twentyman's rant after we got eliminated by Trinidad and Tobago, it's perfect. So I think missing this World Cup was the best thing to happen to us to make us realize and wake up and that we actually got to go with young guys instead of using a 80-year-old Clint Dempsey. So I think it's going in the right direction. It's just tough for me to think that we could win a World Cup, but I hope Matthew's right.
The United States won't win a World Cup until soccer becomes a forefront sport in our nation.
I agree.
It's the number one sport in every single nation in the world except America. So, I mean, it's probably stretching it a little bit.
But I know what you mean.
Because baseball's number one in Japan.
Caribbean.
Yeah, it's number one in Japan. It's number one in maybe in the Dominican.
The Caribbean.
Yeah, it's
Caribbean
in general. But it's bigger.
Hockey Canada.
It's bigger in Japan. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like for the
I was being technical. And I was being tough.
For the most part, soccer is like the most dominant sport.
And that's my thing. Like you look at it historically, Germany, Brazil, all those teams. Like they don't slow down. They haven't slowed down. I mean, they've had a couple, but I mean, they're historically always there. So I just don't see us overtaking a team like that.
Right. So let's move on to third statement. The National Football League. It's the highest watched thing on TV, hands down, every single year. Despite ratings drops from previous seasons. So you've got the XFL, which is rumored to start in 2020. Then there's another league that I can't remember its name, but it's set to start in the next couple years, and it's going to take place after the Super Bowl ends, run through those summer months, and then shut down before the start of the preseason with the NFL. It's going to kind of be the way that the commissioner talked about. It's going to be kind of like an intermediate league. Where guys can kind of prove themselves. So here's your statement. This time around, these new leagues will succeed and will become as watched as the NFL.
Hold up. I'm saying hold up a lot today. I just don't think you can't match the product that the NFL brings you. Like anytime they come around with these like fun little things, like I never, like just me personally, I never find myself wanting to even, like I don't even care. Like this new league doesn't really even intrigue me besides like the little bits that I hear about them. Like Matthew, you're muted again. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
He was coughing.
Oh, okay. I just don't see. I don't know. I just don't find a way that it can be as popular as the NFL. I don't want to go and say it's not going to be successful in their own eyes, but to be as watched and as entertaining as the NFL is and the NFL product is a little crazy in my opinion.
It's not just the gimmicks. Well, think about why they have to have the gimmicks. Where is all the money? The money is in the NFL. And where there's the money, that's where you're going to get the players. This is why the NHL is able to get all these Russian and Swedish players, and even the Canadian players, because this is where the money's at. That's why they don't stay in Russia, because the money is not in Russia.
You can use that in soccer too. MLS is horrible because the money's not over here.
Correct. So I think that the players, the talent level is going to be here in the NFL. And so who wants to watch a bad football game? I don't think anybody, not many people want to watch bad football. I mean, how many times have you changed the channel because you're just like, God, this is just terrible.
Yeah,
and an NFL game. So imagine, subpar talent like Johnny Manziel in the CFL playing. You really want to watch that? No.
Okay, so you're saying you guys wouldn't watch it if it was on during the NFL offseason?
No. There's other things I could do.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff to catch up on.
All right.
So I can waste my Sundays and.
All right. Fourth statement. Tiger Woods did not make the cut at the U.S. Open. He hasn't won a major since he won the U.S. Open back in 2008, and he hasn't won an event since he won the WC Bridgestone Invitational in 2013. Despite his lack of success and his given injury history, a lot of people in golf still think he can win a major soon. So here's your statement. Tiger Woods will win a major championship in the next 3 years.
Hold up.
Like, the thing that kills me is that like you. I don't know if you watched the U.S. Open, Josh. I don't think you did. Tiger Woods, yes, his swing has gotten better. He's hitting the ball better. When he gets to the green to putt, and if whoever golfs, I mean, putting is the most important part of the game. He can't putt. I mean, he beats himself by putting horribly, and he's always kind of been. I mean, he's hit his big putts in his career, like big, like huge putts. But historically, he's never been good on the green. I just don't see him getting back to form with all of the young guys you got, like Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka. You can still put Rory McIlroy in there, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler. I mean, Ricky Fowler hasn't won a major yet, but all these talented guys, I just see them blocking Tiger out. I don't think he can put a run together. I can see him winning a tournament, but the major and the everything that surrounds a major tournament in golf, I just don't see him doing it.
I think he.
Jeez, I can't believe you got me going on. I mean, I love golf. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. I just can't believe you brought it up on the show.
In addition to the injuries, I mean, his body is just kind of.
He's not Tiger Woods anymore, and as bad as people want him to be Tiger Woods, he's not even close.
So, to me, more than the injuries, it was he had this just aura about him. I mean, when he would walk on the course, you weren't beating him. I mean, he was cocky, he was arrogant, he was loose because of all the extra stuff that he was doing off on the side. And I think that's why he was able to do so well, because he could just go out there and just
you look at your typical pro golfer. I mean, even me as a competitive person.
Right. And in golf, I'm not good at playing it, but I know how mental of a game it is. It's like a kicker. Once you break that mental barrier, I mean, like Aguayo, it's gone. You can't get that back. And I mean, he used to talk trash to people on the course, and he had to clean all that up. And so he's not Tiger anymore. So it's gone. It's gone. I mean, I remember the days you could literally, they used to have the things where it's like, do you take Tiger or the field? And you never take the field.
Yeah, well, I think that was also. I think there's a lot more talent in golf now with the young guys coming up. But like to your point, I mean, it's the mentality thing is huge there. And anytime you hear him, they're constantly talking about fixing his swing. And when you're worried about your swing, I mean, you're in your head and you're constantly thinking about things that you're doing with your swing. I mean, I'm nowhere near a pro golfer or being a good golfer, but
hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. Just had some technical difficulties. So yeah, I don't think Tiger wins a major in the next 3 years. I agree with you guys. So I think
I went on a good rant there, and I was robotic the whole time. Kind of upset.
Yeah, you're robotic the whole time. Yeah, I think he's done. So we'll move on to our fifth statement, and then we'll get into a little bit of NBA draft talk. Fifth statement: DeAndre Ayton, who's projected to be the number 1 draft pick, signed a footwear and apparel deal with Puma. Puma hasn't endorsed a basketball player in roughly 20 years. So here's your statement. You didn't know Puma still made enough money to endorse a number 1 overall pick.
God.
I forgot Puma existed. I didn't even know they were still around.
The only reason I know Puma exists is because there's some golf guys sponsored by him, but
aren't they? Don't they make a good amount of money in the soccer realm? I mean, I've always seen them around in the soccer area. You know, domestically they do well with a lot of soccer cleats and things like that. Even some of their dress shoes. So even though they were out of basketball for a while, some of these others, like soccer is very profitable. I think they've made money off of that.
Yeah, they brought Jay-Z in to be a consultant for the brand, and that's pushed their NBA thing. I think they signed Marvin Bagley also to an endorsement deal as well. All right, let's move on to the NBA draft, which we're talking about. We'll try to go through this pretty quickly, but I don't see this. I don't have an opinion on any of this, so it should go pretty quick. We'll just see 2 guys talking. Matthew, where will our first New Orleans Saints type pick take place?
I think at number 2. I think the Kings are going to take Doncic from Real Madrid, and I'm just going to be like, "What are you doing?"
I love Doncic.
See, I don't. I think.
I will say I saw a thing today that said the Kings do not like Doncic, and they are probably taking Bagley.
Yeah, the Kings are pretty much a lock to take Bagley.
So I mean, whoever that top 5 takes him, it's just listen. The whole Euro thing, like the Spurs had a lot of success with Euro players, and then the Mavs did too. I mean, there was even a Visa commercial where Don Nelson had to have like 5 different dictionaries to figure out who he was talking to on how to give instructions. I don't know if you remember that, John, when he had like all the different internationals. In Dallas. So then teams all of a sudden started reaching in the top of the NBA draft on these random Euro guys, and it doesn't work out.
I don't really want to get into Luka Doncic because this could go on forever. He's different, in my opinion, with the aura surrounding him. He's not as hyped up as the other guys were when they're different. The other guys actually didn't really look that good on film. They just had these things about them. Luka's got great court vision. He can pass the ball really well, which none of those guys could besides Ricky Rubio. And he's not really considered to be like this guy that you can't miss on. So I don't really think he's like some European guy who's going to miss on. The first surprising pick that I guess could happen is who has the balls to take Michael Porter Jr. And I think it can happen anywhere. I think the Kings aren't going to do it, and I was scared they would. Mm-hmm. I can see Atlanta taking him. And if you're Atlanta, you can't really miss him. I mean, if you're anybody in the top 5, you can't really miss in this pick. Michael Porter Jr. has a tremendous amount of potential, but everything surrounding his camp and what they're trying to do to hide what's going on with his back is really scary.
Well, I would say if you're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints type thing, if one of these teams trades up a few spots to draft him,
right, I agree. That would be a Saints thing. Yeah, you trade up and you take Michael Porter Jr.
That would.
Yeah, if you're outside of the top 5 in the NBA draft, I'm okay with you taking Michael Porter Jr. Top 5, you pretty much got to go with a guy that you think is going to be.
I would say moving up for him outside of the top 5 would still be just a bad
Yeah,
idea.
no, I agree.
So what's the absolute earliest, Emmons, that you would take Trae Young, the guard out of Oklahoma? I know you're not. I know in the past we've talked about Trae Young, and you're not high on Trae Young. So what's the earliest that you would pick Trae Young?
Let me look at. Maybe 9, 10. I mean that's a stretch. If I'm an NBA team, I'm not me. I have my opinion on him. I'm probably not taking him in the top 12, but the earliest I would see him being okay with him going is probably to the Knicks at 9. But I don't think his game compares to. I mean, just watching his film, I mean, I don't want to go on a Trae Young because I'm going to go on a tangent, but I just don't see him being this like guy who's going to come in and just like change the game like a Steph did. He just doesn't have like I don't know. He just disappears a lot. He doesn't have the attack of the basket like a guy like Steph did, and that's what they're trying to turn him into. And he's got crazy range, but you know who else had crazy range? Jimmer Fredette.
And Buddy Hield last year.
Yeah, Buddy Hield.
Same kind of player. And I mean, I think
and he was better in Oklahoma than Trae Young was.
Yeah, I think when you start talking about really trying to compare, really make, like you said, making him somebody, I think that's really dangerous.
When you get into that with draft picks, that's when you know you're like almost trying to convince yourself, like, well, he could be this.
I think, if I'm in one of these war rooms, the earliest I'd be okay doing it if I'm in one of these rooms is the Clippers, only because they have back-to-back picks, 12 and 13, and you don't, you trade with Chris Paul.
I have seen a lot of like good things about him in the workouts and stuff, but as for me, I only have the film I can watch. I can't go to these workouts, so that can't really change my opinion because I've heard plenty of good workout things before and they haven't worked out. So from what I've seen on film,
remember when E. Julian worked out against a chair?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm not big on Trae Young. I don't think either of us are. There's other people who are, but I mean. The thing about the NBA draft is they have the NBA draft lottery, and that's pretty much what you have in the NBA. It's all drafted on what this guy could be, what he can't be. So, I mean, number 9 would be where I'd be okay with him going at the earliest.
Okay. So we alluded to it a little bit earlier, talking about Michael Porter Jr. Who's the first team that makes a trade? Where do they trade up to, and who do they take, Matthew?
The first trade. I want to say the Clippers moving up. I see them using one of those 2 picks and moving up. I see them moving up to 9 and taking Trae Young. I see them.
I'm sorry, taking who?
Trae
Young. I see them moving up to 9, using one of those 2 picks and picking them. Afraid that somebody else is going to take them.
So according to my sources being just Twitter things, the Raptors are really the only team really looking to trade into the top 10. They have said that no one on their roster is untouchable. I mean, they got rid of their coach. Kind of maybe looks like they're really high on Shai Alexander from Kentucky. So I can see them trading, depending on what the Cavs do with LeBron. I can see maybe a potential trade there at 8. I don't really see much. You don't really see much movement, I guess, in the NBA draft as much as you do in the NFL draft. So the Raptors are really the only team that are really actively shopping to get into a top 10 pick. But that also doesn't mean there's not calls going on behind doors. And the Raptors are really the only one that makes sense to me. I think the Clippers are pretty happy with what they got at 12 and 13. I don't see them really.
Oh, I agree. I think that's kind of the first one. I think it really, at the end of the day, I could see the Celtics trading out. Because they have so many players at this, they're later in their first. They made, Danny Ainge. He loves to work those picks, so I could see him maybe trading that away for a future first that jumps up.
There's a team that's actively shopping their pick in the top 10, though, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies at 4. They have said that they absolutely want to be wooed with a pick, which I don't blame you. I mean, it's the number 4 pick. So, but they are one of the teams that are actively shopping their pick.
I mean, it's kind of a weird draft. I mean, I'm not.
It's weird because
the top of the draft. I mean, it's not.
There's not a guy that you're just like, oh my god, I gotta go have him.
You have a lot of potential kind of stuff, and the thing that's scary. We didn't talk about him, but DeAndre Ayton was scares the living daylights out of me. If I'm Phoenix, is 7'1" is huge. 3 of 7 foot tall players that have, leg problems after a few years because of all that.
I do agree with that, but he hasn't had all those guys that have had that. They've had it in college or in the past. He hasn't had any really injury issues.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, there, Yao Ming, he was cut short because of legs.
He's like 7'1", 265, so he's not your typical 7'1" guy coming into the league. He's huge.
I take him, and I'm happy with it. But
I know.
It keeps you up at night going,
I did see a mock draft. And one guy that I was really surprised, I think in the mock draft he had fell out of the top 10. potentially out of the top 15, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But guy that I liked watching during the NCAA tournament, and I think should be rated a little bit higher, Colin Sexton from Alabama. Kid could play.
I love Colin Sexton. Yeah, I see Colin Sexton. I don't see him as high as they had him early on. Like I said, I don't really know why we're not in the workouts. I just know what I've seen, what I watched live, what I watched on film. Colin Sexton has been my favorite point guard in that class, particularly since he was a junior in high school. So I followed him quite a bit. I love Colin Sexton. If LeBron stays in Cleveland, I would love for the Cavs to go get him at number 8. But I'm with you on that. I like Colin Sexton a lot.
Well, see,
I see him dropping.
Here's what's crazy to me about the NBA that the NFL doesn't do is the NBA does the draft before they do free agency.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's insane.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And that's what caused the whole Kyrie problem last year. I mean, that whole thing got flip-flopped because of, the order of the draft and the free agency and everything.
All right, Matthew, take us out. What's on your mind, buddy?
So I was actually kind of upset with John a little earlier because he started raining on my parade
Emmons
a little bit.
Emmons tends to do that. We're gonna have to get him to stay on topic.
I
and not go off.
He was on topic, and unfortunately
I got my sources everywhere, guys. Sorry.
So, watching the World Cup, and it just I was talking with somebody who's from the Dominican.
If this is a Volkswagen commercial, I'm gonna lose my mind.
No. I was talking with somebody who watches soccer vociferously, and my thing was when you look at these European nations, because I think John, when you talked about the number of World Cups won, Josh was like, "Where's the parity?" Because it was all of Europe and then Brazil, right? When you look at these European nations, they have their academies where they get kids from around the world, the best kids around the world, bring them to their academy and just raise them. And then they're there in their leagues. And so they always play against talent. And so when you look at Germany, when you look at France, when you look at Italy, Spain, they are able to have their national team for the most part. I mean, you have a couple that don't, but for the most part, they play on the same domestic team. So year round, they're playing together. They're playing the same kind of system of football. And if you look at the U.S., we have the athletes. We have kids, all kinds of kids. Every Saturday, I go out there and watch all these kids playing soccer. We have the will. But when you look at us, we are so spread. And we don't have the league as in the MLS. We don't have the talent in the league to have our national team basically playing together on one team. Because if you put all of our national team on one team to play together, they're just going to dominate the rest of the MLS, and then they don't get better because they're not playing against good enough talent. So we're in this really weird position where we are really behind in that sense that we just don't have enough talent to play against each other, to bring each other up. Because if you send them over to Europe, if you send our best players to Europe to play internationally, they're playing a different brand of football or soccer, okay? And then they come back here and you want to play them to play American soccer when we play nationally. It's just it's mixed.
Before we head out, I mean, Josh hit it on the head earlier. I don't see the NFL ever stepping down as the number one sport in America for a while. Yes, a lot of kids are playing soccer here, but like you said, in Europe, you pour money into your youth academies. We do have youth academies here, but they pour money into these youth academies and have these kids there when they're 13. Gareth Bale, for example, to Southampton for his whole childhood.
Yep.
So they have the money, they have the passion, and they do everything they want to. And USA is finally getting there as a youth academy standpoint. But the MLS will never be elite,
right?
And because what they're about is the money. They go grab old guys from the European leagues and bring them to the MLS when they're out of their prime for money, which is fine. But you're never going to have our guys playing together like you do Germany and Bayern Munich, PSG and France.
And that hurts you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
I think one of the biggest things, like we have IMG Academy in football, right down here in Florida. they literally, in our hands at the end of the game, they were going up to our top players saying, "Hey, here's my business card.
Yep.
Call me." And they will pay their families to come move, which is exactly what they do in soccer around the world. So,
Yep.
I mean, well, in Europe. So,
yeah, there's like host families
in
Europe,
right.
like where, hey, I'll take care of your kid. You got to pay me some money. The teams pay them money to have them live there.
Right. And that's the answer. Everybody's talking about there's your answer. You got to put the money into it and do it right.
Yeah,
because America has the tendency to throw a ton of money at something and do it wrong. So.
Yeah, and before we sign off, me here in America playing it my whole life, there's youth academies, but you have to have money to get into them. And your only hope in America normally is you come up through high school, you play your club ball, and then you a lot of the times go to college and play college ball. Matthew hit it where in Europe there's no college. You are literally on a pro teams system when you're 13 years old, and you are getting developed by the world's best. We don't have that here right now, so that kills us.
One thing I'll say about playing international sports is, number one, like across, in Europe, basically soccer is the number one sport. It's not the number one sport in America, but it's also it's actually the only sport now that you can represent your country on a national level. Besides baseball has the World Baseball Classic, but when baseball and basketball competed in the Olympics, in my opinion, baseball was more popular back then because it was something everybody could get behind. It melded a bunch of teams together as far as players, and so you weren't cheering for the Cubs or the Red Sox or the Yankees. You were just cheering for the USA, playing against these other countries. And I feel like that kind of nationalism also kind of drives soccer's popularity in other nations.
And I mean, so tap into that and start really marketing these games that are on the buildup of it, because
the thing is too
close to the World Cup. That's when people started caring, and was too late.
The thing is too, and if you look at it,
last word here, Emmons.
Yep. As Americans, we're all immigrants of some sort. You look at these other teams and the passion they have for their country. I mean, not to say we're not proud of our country, blah blah blah, but I mean, a lot of those guys, they're 100% born there, grew up there, the whole family's from there. None of us can really say that throughout history. So, and like Josh said, I mean, soccer is the number one thing for them. So when you grew up there, your passion for your country is unreal. You want to win it. The World Cup's important to us, but you just see it in the players' eyes of these other countries. When they get taken out, they're crying. I mean, it means the world to them. You don't see that here. I mean, we care, but we don't care that much.
Yeah.
Yep. You can watch. 30 years from now, 20 years from now, there will be a Portuguese kid who says, Ronaldo, he watched Ronaldo since he was a kid, favorite player, inspired him to play soccer. One kid in America will say, yeah, I really like Chris Bryant, I really like Tom Brady, and I really like LeBron James, and he couldn't narrow it down to one sport, and there you go.
So that's a little me.
Yep.
Tim Howard, baby.
So that's going to be it for week 15. We'll be back next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m., same place, to talk about some more NFL, rank our top 5 running backs, wide receivers. We might delve into the results of the NBA draft a little bit. We also have All-Star Weekend or All-Star Week coming up in baseball in the next month. If you haven't voted, go vote on MLB.com.
Castellanos, please.
No, don't vote Castellanos. I'm just kidding. John, Matthew, I know you guys have been feeling sick. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. So that's going to be it for our show. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us here on Twitch.
And please, if you are listening through iTunes or YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us. Helps us out.
It does immensely. That's going to be it for tonight, though. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.